What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing great today. We're going to take a look at a Ultra Nightmare Chimera team that could be ran full auto if you didn't want to worry about the time investment, or you can run it on manual and get a lot more trials. I believe the peak will be 13 trials. We'll go over it in just a minute, and a lot more damage. Now, like I said, you can run it on full auto. I actually did run the Nightmare version on full auto because I was getting very close to the end of the week, but the Ultra Nightmare version, I did do it manual. Unfortunately, I came up short on a few trials that I'm going to have to do some rebuilds to actually get those trials complete because they are definitely a lot more difficult. But I believe the peak would be 13 trials, at least at the moment. Maybe you could get more, but this team is one that I had seen originally posted in the RSL Leaderboards Discord by Mez. Now, Mez has some crazy gear on his account and always comes up with some awesome teams. I'm not going to be able to, oh, here we go. It's actually, no, it's not that one. I don't know where it's at exactly, but I had seen it originally from Mez. I made a few adjustments. I haven't seen this version. We talked about it on stream and I tried it out and it ended up working out fantastic. Now, before I show you the champions and you just click off the video, stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of information about all of these roles. And I can almost guarantee if you have Titus and Wixwell, those are used in the team, that you're going to be able to build a team very similar. I actually built a team on somebody's account yesterday who was missing some of these champions, but we were able to pull it together. There are a few, of course, you're going to have to make it work without crazy gear, but there's plenty of stuff that you can adjust to make it run smoothly. This is the team right here. This is the damage that it dealt. So right at the end here, we did, let's see, we'll rewind this a little bit. I got this whole video to share with you guys. I'll leave it at the end of this video, but it did 652 million damage. And for trials, we did not get a ton of resources there, which is what's to be expected if you're not doing super high trials. Trials are the way to get the best rewards, mythical materials, get all that stuff done. But if you don't have the champions to really get those high trials, specifically the mythical material trials done, then a team like this is amazing because you're going to help your clan actually win Chimera Clash. The damage dealt was 652. Trials I did was 10. I'll show you a few of them that I missed real quick that ended up being pretty difficult. The Viper form, you could possibly do it and maybe make it even 14 trials. But the issue with Viper is the poison one, or sorry, the bunch of debuffs but no block actives will be a bit difficult because Titus places it in a lot of other situations, but it's probably possible if Lydia was in like a toxic set. Because right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I had a few poisons, then I could possibly get it to work, but I'm not even including that one. That would be the 14th trial basically. But there was a time I click right here on the lion form. Right here would actually be, it could go even higher than what I expected. So I missed the shield trial because some of my shields had fallen off my champions. This trial could be done, but it's going to be very difficult. You need your Wixwell specifically built to hit really hard, which is a lot of stats you need to be working towards. Maybe it's worth doing instead of protection set. It's something you can work on and test it out though. It is 5 mythical materials there. I was halfway to the point just with where he's at now. Maybe something to work towards. This one right here can also be completed if I switch my Androc over into the decreased resistance or into the second form for that decreased resistance. So I say 13 trials, but it could actually go a little bit higher than that. Matter of fact, there was another trial over here on the Ram form that I actually ended up missing as well because I don't think I had time. If I show it here, I'm not for sure if I do or not. I should click the trials in a little while. But basically, okay, here, 9. I'll begin the 10th one very soon. Hopefully I click that in a second. I probably don't. But if I don't, we'll just look at the Ram trials. Let's just do that. We'll let the whole video play out. It may be shown in the video. But let's take a look at these trials, and then I'll go over everything you guys need to know. So this one's easy. With Lydia placing True Fear, if she has Nature's Bounty, she'll place the bigger version of Fear, have a chance to. Your Titus can quickly get through this trial. You have Smite on a champion, War Master, Giant Slayers. You can get through this trial, no problem. This dual one, you need to get to this basically. You need to have this ready by the time the second rotation comes around. You can do this one though. This one I do believe is doable. I haven't done it yet because I'd have to finish this one plus this one very early, and my Titus had a hard time scaling his shield up high enough to do that. But this is one I did not do. So it's an extra 1 trial. These trials right here increase accuracy. That is doable. This one, is not doable. We have no increased crit rate, no increased crit damage. So these two you can't do. And then these ones, this one is not doable because we have no perfect veil on the team whatsoever. So you could get these 3 ones done from the ram form very, very early. And you can see here, let's see where I was at. So ram form there. The first time I went to the ram form, I only had 1 trial done. I didn't finish it in time. It is going to be difficult. The dual bar one is possible, but it's also going to be tricky. But your Titus gets 1 hit after True Fear, and you can do it. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the actual team setup and what you need to do to actually build these champions. With that said, I am going to leave a link down below this sheet, this doc sheet, which is going to be this team. I'm going to have a link to this video specifically as well in case you want to reference back to that once this video is done, of course. But this will be the high trial version of a Titus team. All the information. So if you don't want to hear me yap on for the next probably 20 minutes, then just read this sheet. I may go into more detail on a few things in this video though, so maybe check back and watch that as well. But at least drop a like, subscribe to the channel before you head over there. But that should help a lot of you out versus having to watch the video and scan through it. Now, as for my champion presets, let me go ahead and share these because that's not in the sheet. We have Arbais, Ultimate, Ram. Actually, sorry, I'll scroll down because this is important. I have this set to 1, not because she's switching automatically, because this is actually turned off. I only manual her form swap, but I want to turn it back on auto, and I want to make sure that she's going to switch back to the original form as soon as possible in every single stage. Now, the top presets are also going to be the same in every single stage. Of course, just opening with the A3 the very first time, and then doesn't really matter past that because the opener stuff is irrelevant. For Lydia, it's always just 1, 2, 1, 1. It could be 1, 2. It doesn't really matter there. If she had Feral set, that'd be actually really good. I didn't put that in the notes though, but let me jot that down real quick. Lydia for gear sets or Feral. I had to put her in a shield set, so that's why she's not in Feral. I also don't have 9-piece Feral anyways, but Feral could be really good. She places 3, 4, 5 debuffs. That's a big damage boost. And then on Viper, of course, she's prioritizing that A3. Not as big of a deal as a lot of teams may be because you have Titus, who's going to place a block active skills that can't be resisted. So you're pretty good with the whole block active skills on the Viper form. For Androc, he is only staying in that first form. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very simple stuff there. But if you wanted to switch him for the decreased resistance, you just had to build him with enough accuracy, and you could do that. He has decreased resistance on the second form. It's not a problem, but you will likely drop some of your buffs off your champions. Wixwell is only using the A2 throughout the fights. I have this A3 ability turned off, though to be honest, you could probably leave it on. I do manual it at the very beginning, and then I recast it throughout the fight whenever I want to. But ultimately, I was worried that sometimes our shield would get too low and that he would recast this and replace the big shield with his small shield, so I just turned it off. Androc is always doing the increased defense anyway, so I didn't really need him continually casting this. And I didn't want the intercept overriding buff spots on the team because that does become an issue with Androc specifically. All of his continuous heals he's placing, he fills up the buff bar, which is really good for his passive, but not good if you want to place Revive on Death, or if you want to place Stone Skin on Arbais, it becomes a bit more tricky. But there's Wixwell's presets, and then Titus, of course, has all this stuff turned off on the Ram form. Do this, because if Lydia does not have a Fear or True Fear on the Ram form, you will kill yourself. You will ruin the run. So if you're doing it full auto, make sure to just turn all that stuff off. This is the reason why you want to get Lydia over into Nature's Bounty. When attacked, reflects 25% of the damage the Chimera receives back to the attacker, unless they're under a dual effect. Reflects 10% of the damage instead if the Chimera is under Fear debuff. Will not reflect any damage if the Chimera is under True Fear debuff. So you get the Chimera under True Fear, no damage is reflected. You can do a big hit with Titus, and you're good to go. Nature's Bounty, if we take a look at Lydia real quick, at 5-star and 6-star especially, the other stars are a little bit lower chance. It may be still worth running it though, because that True Fear makes a huge difference in finishing the trials. But at 6-star, it's a 60% chance to place the greater version of a debuff. So switching the Fear, the lesser Fear, to the True Fear, meaning now the Ram form isn't going to reflect any of that damage back. So that right there is an important part. Now let's take a look at this sheet real quick. So moving through this, we have the Chimera stats all listed out right here. Androc specifically is going to make resistance basically irrelevant. Because of his passive ability, the resistance that he gives your team is crazy. Increases each ally's resistance by 10 for each buff on all allies. So if you had 10 buffs on all allies, each champion is then going to get 500 resistance. Also, he has increased resistance, so just that alone is 750 resistance. So you don't need to build resistance at all if you have him on the team. Now, there may be some times where you drop a few buffs and some things get a little bit weird, so you'll start dropping some of your resistance, which is a time where, okay, maybe you should have like 2, maybe 300 resistance on some of your champions. But my Titus has 265, and he was fine. That's something to keep in mind there. So that lowers your resistance needs. So the champion builds that I'm going to share are keeping in mind Arbais plus Androc. I'll talk about some substitutions later on, but these are the stats you need to go for if you have a 50% resistance boost and your accuracy is just base. Accuracy gets dropped if you have Arbais because she increases about 50%, and your resistance gets dropped significantly if you have Androc. So let me show you the stats that I have, and then we'll jump over and show you the stats of some other champions. So Arbais is right here. For me, she is a bit faster than everybody else. She has 100% crit rate. She has good defense and good HP. She's 6R blessing +2. It's a lot easier to get that build done. She has plenty of accuracy. We only need, let's take a look at the Hell Hades optimizer, or sorry, the stages tool right here. If you look at the resistance, you can see, okay, let's say I need a 500 accuracy at most. I actually only need 475 tops, but that means basically I'm well over that, basically. I have 462 times 50% is going to be like 600 or 700, basically. So she is fine with her accuracy and resistance. To be fair, she doesn't really need a whole lot of accuracy anyways until the second form, but either way, these are her stats. You definitely want to have good HP and good defense on these champions to help them actually survive. This may look out of reach for a lot of you. You don't have to have protection sets on these champions. I built a Chimera team for somebody yesterday who really had no protection sets on their account at all, and I was able to pull it off. It's not nearly as smooth. Like this run will go like the first attempt or so. His is going to take a few more resets, but if you don't have protection sets, just go for your resistance, go for your HP and defense, try to slot in some other things that can make you survive better, and you're going to be fine. And also, if you're interested in having a Chimera takeover done, I'll leave a link down below as well as on this sheet. If you guys want to check that out, feel free. I can help you out. We can get something figured out. So that's Arbais. Well, let me click on her masteries real quick. I have her with the Eagle Eye. To be honest, this is not used at all in Chimera. War Master would be better, but I use her in PvP as well. So that's what I'm going with. Ideally, she wouldn't even have this. But in this case, I actually want to be really fast. I don't care if she's dropping her buffs all the time because she is going back and forth from this first form to the second form. This gemstone right here could be bad for some of your champions, depending on who it is, because if they start going fast, like out of tune with everybody else, they're going to start dropping their buffs off. Arbais is fine because she's swapping to the second form to get the benefits of the passive in the second form, but also the decreased speed. So the passive is going to basically allow her, also decreases the damage taken by all allies from skills by 20%. This champion receives that instead. So her passive is powerful. Her decreased speed from the passive also is powerful. The leech and HP burn gets through some trials. And then the stone skin is cool if you need a little bit help surviving. Now, I want her to go into that form just before they're using an AoE skill ideally, so she can place that decreased speed before the lion form so we can tank some of that damage. And then I want her to go back into this first form to continue this revive on death, but most importantly, the buff extension as soon as possible. This buff extension is the main reason it's a huge reason she makes sense in this team. She brings a lot of other really good stuff, but it's a huge help. This, of course, the A3, very powerful as well, but I actually used Mikage in that other account that I was talking about yesterday. Mikage plus Androc. No decreased speed, but the person said it still did 200 and something plus million damage, full auto for him, which is really cool. So there's Arbais. Let's go take a look at Wixwell. Wixwell, there's more notes in the sheet. If you guys want to go through this as well, like I said, it talks about all the builds, all the specifics, everything. There may be a little bit left out, but this video hopefully fills in the gaps. My Wixwell build is 9-piece protection. If you cannot get 9-piece protection, making, in my case, Wixwell the highest defense, he's the one who made the most sense to have him being targeted by the lion form. You also want that champion to have really high HP. So you really want him to have good blessings, ideally 5-star, especially if you're having to build accuracy plus resistance. He is a very stat demanding champion. If you don't have Androc plus Arbais, it becomes very difficult to get that much accuracy, that much resistance, good speed. With Androc 100%, obviously a little bit over 100% crit rate, we can definitely adjust that, make it a little bit stronger. But all this stuff was very difficult to get it to work. These are the pieces that I have on him. You can see there's a lot of glyphs just not around. There's definitely a lot more damage I can squeeze out. There's more gear to be optimized, and I will do that down the road. But right now, this is just my first version of it that I ran last week. So this is the Wixwell build. If you can't fit Wixwell into 9-piece protection, yes, you're going to drop the protected shield. You could do a 4-piece protection. You're not going to have the damage boost from him, but you will still have the chance to protect that shield, which just gives a little bit less RNG to the fight overall. But anytime a shield gets destroyed or stolen from Titus specifically, your run's basically over because he's just not going to scale his damage very well. Unless you had Volcardiac Heart also, the relic. If you had that, maybe it's a little bit of a different story. Now with Wixwell, you can move him into a shield set. You can move him into just a base set. For me, I wanted him to be the target of the ram form. It worked out the best, so that's what he is built for. For his relic, this is really just to pad your stats. If you need more accuracy, throw in the Molten Death Bell. If you need more resistance, go in here, resistance. Throw on something that gives you resistance pretty early. This is the best one typically, the Infernal Sphere. The Infernal Sphere gives you some extra resistance. If you have some stuff that can reduce the damage the bosses deal, whatever you can throw on the relic to reduce your damage taken, boost your stats, go ahead and throw that relic on. The best in slot relic for somebody is going to be Volcardiac Heart, the one that gives you a shield. It can grow as well, but if you don't have that mythical relic or you don't want to throw it onto these champions, I completely understand that as well. I probably wouldn't throw it on these champions either, unless I had a few of them, but I only have one mythical relic. The best mythical relic, the Crown of Corruption, soon to be changed, but either way, let's get back on the topic here. So those are the pieces. I already clicked through those. These are the masters that we have going on here. We have War Master. I don't want any buff extension stuff. You can see his speed is 302, so he is a little bit slower than that Arbais. Now let's take a look at Androc. Now, in my situation, Androc is in a 9-piece protection. I think he is the most important champion to have in 9-piece protection because of how many buffs he places. He places increased defense on the A1 ability. He places the increased resistance, strengthen, and continuous heal, which you just keep placing continuous heals until you cap out the buff bar, which can be bad if you're expecting to switch Arbais and give her Stone Skin, because she places 3 other buffs, 2 continuous heals, and a taunt before placing the Stone Skin. If you have her, it could be a problem, but I have him in protection because this seemed to be the best. If you don't have 9-piece protection, maybe you have 9-piece Supersonic. 9-piece Supersonic can get kind of crazy because this is going to boost turn meter fill effects by 30%. You pair that also with Journal of Necrodos, and his passive starts to go really crazy. With the critical hits boosting Ali's turn meter by 5%, things get wild. You also have turn meter boost there. So a lot of turns, a lot of turn meter boosting, but the 9-piece protection, for me, seemed to give me the most damage overall. I may revisit the Supersonic, but my Supersonic's not that strong at the moment. So let me click through these pieces real quick for you guys, in case you're curious to see these. Androc just has 100% crit rate. That's only for if you're running Androc in the team. If you're not using him, you don't need that crit rate. Easily could be replaced by Oella. 63,000, good HP, good defense, fast speeds relative to my account. We have 100% crit rate. Accuracy and resistance is basically irrelevant unless I want to place the decreased resistance from his form 2. If that's the case, I need to push him more like 300 plus accuracy there. For his relic, of course, we have Journal of Necrodos. The higher level this is, the better it's going to be, the more turn meter boost you're going to get. He's a very good champion for that. Fully booked on the Form 1, and then these are the Masteries. So we went through most of the champions. We have Lydia and Titus remaining. Here's Lydia. This is my shield set champion. You have to have a shield set champion. If you don't have one, your run's not going to scale. You're going to take forever to do your damage. Your Titus is going to fail. It's not going to be good. You have to have somebody with a shield set. For me, it made the most sense to have my 6-star Lydia into a shield set. She was able to get plenty of HP. This is a really good pair of boots, by the way. But she was able to get plenty of HP. I was able to keep her crit damage pretty low, which if you don't have a 4-star blessing on a few of your other champions, that becomes pretty difficult. Because what happens is the 40% crit damage you get from the blessing makes it difficult to make Lydia the lowest crit damage if she's 4-star or above, which you want her to be the lowest crit damage for the Ram form because her using that A1 ability continually is perfect. But if a different champion takes the duel and can only use their A1 ability, the run can have a significantly different outcome. Arbais couldn't swap forms, Wixwell wouldn't extend, Androc wouldn't extend, and Titus wouldn't do his damage. So you want to make sure Lydia is the lowest crit damage on the team. Obviously, no crit damage there. We have low pieces there. No crit damage even possible there, of course. Then we have no crit damage. Trying to stay away from crit damage wherever I can. Yeah, it'd be cool if she did damage, but even with all of that stuff, she's still at 123%. Thankfully, most of the other champions are fine, but it's still something you have to watch out for and be careful because it's very easy to just slip a little bit higher crit damage than your Lydia. So you've seen all of her gear, her stats. She has high crit rate. That's just how the champions come out with these builds. I can min-max them a little bit more later. You can see her speed's 309. So everybody's sitting at around that 300 or plus speed. We have good accuracy. She does need it. Resistance is irrelevant. Good HP, good defense. We have no relic. We could throw a relic on here, though, to help her survive. Maybe, I'm not sure which one would be the best, honestly. We could definitely throw something on there. If you need a different champion to get a bit more crit damage as well, this is a very good one to do it. Just throw this on your Wixwell, who is the hardest one for me to get crit damage on. Throw this on him or something, and you should be able to just get that crit damage a little bit higher to pass your Lydia if she's 4-star plus. For the blessing, of course, we have Nature's Bounty. For the masteries, we just have something simple like this. I could probably drop this off. It's not been a huge issue. Actually, I think it may have been kind of an issue. But no, if it's the buff one, we shouldn't really have the buffs expiring anyways, so we should be fine. It'll expire on Arbais every now and then, but turn meter boosts randomly in teams like this are not typically the best things, but War Master is very good for the Ram trial, the second trial behind the Fear one. It is very good for that. And then lastly, we have Titus. So Titus is right here. For him, we have Zeal plus Merciless. This is the best way to go, Zeal plus Merciless. If you can't get Zeal, go Merciless. Merciless is the most important. Zeal is just like the icing on top. You definitely want to have this if you can. But with him, something you have to be careful with, since he is a defense-based nuker, you're going to pump his defense up a lot. He has 5,800 basically. You got to make sure that he is not the highest defense champion, because if he is, he's going to be targeted by the Ram form. If he's targeted by the Ram, he has low HP, because the way his multipliers work is it's the difference between his HP and his shield. If he has more HP, then that difference is going to be lower. So you want to keep his HP as low as possible. But if you're doing that and you have his defense way high, the Ram form is just going to obliterate him. That's why I have Wixwell a little bit higher defense. It's difficult to do. It really is. And you may be kind of nerfing your Titus in a way to make it work, because once mine gets the blessing, he's going to, boom, instantly get an extra, 600 defense? That's quite a bit. I'm going to have to pull back on some of these pieces and like strip this and maybe strip his banner or something. I don't know what I'm going to have to do, but I will have to make some adjustments there. Now, this Titus is built fairly slow. He doesn't have to be slow. He could be 270, 280. That's fine. I don't have the gear to make him there yet. If I get the blessing, I can drop back some of the defense, and I can probably actually do that. That'd be fine. But he can be much faster because you have so many buff extenders that at the end of the fight, he's going to have very, very high durations on his buffs. So right now he has 7 turns there, 2 turns there. Not for sure why those are 2 turns. I guess they fell off earlier. But 7 and 8 turns, I'd rather him be at like 4 or 5. There's no reason to have him that high. It's not going to do anything to have it that much higher. So this is his build, though. We have fairly low HP. I do want to keep that low. We have good defense. Most importantly, below your highest champion's defense. Unless, of course, you're able to make him... Well, I wouldn't do the high HP, personally. We have good crit damage. No crit rate. Yes, Androc would get more turn meter boost if we were critting with his A1 ability. But we have no ally attack champion. We're using the A2 ability as much as possible, so that's not a huge deal. And it always crits if we're under shield anyways. As for his relic, the Cat's Gaze, of course, more defense ignore. This is a useless gemstone. If you have Ball Slayer, that is the way to go. Ball Slayer is so good. We have this one now, actually, which I will probably throw on him. This is actually a pretty good one. This one's what I had before. The wearer ignores 3% of the target's defense if the target is under 2 or more debuffs, which is really nice. But we will have some accuracy. I'm not building him for accuracy, but he has 237 right now, plus Arbais is 50% boost, so like 300. This would boost his damage by 3%, right? So that's pretty cool. Well, I will go ahead and switch that out. Go ahead and sock this in, which is another really good one for Trunda and stuff. But I mean, 3% extra damage on a hit for 20 plus million damage is pretty significant. Ball Slayer being the best in slot, or anything that's going to help you do more damage. This is typically not going to do anything. Really, there's not many that's going to do very good for him here. I could possibly throw this in. Sorry, this. But it may make him out of whack with the speed tune, especially because Androc is doing so much turn meter boosting. It can make Titus go too fast. For his blessing, if you have a blessing on him, I would say Heaven Cast is probably going to be the best thing for him. Heaven Cast, Cruelty. If you don't have Cruelty on the team, you definitely want to get it there. And then Crushing Rend at 6-star. That would be my recommendation. If you were able to make him place the debuffs a lot, Nature's Wrath could possibly be better. But it's just, are you going to be able to place that? It's only on the Viper form. So really, just go Heaven Cast. It's just the best one. We have Helm Smasher. And then we have this stuff that's not relevant to here. So that is the Titus setup. That is a very long explanation for all these champions, guys. I hope I went enough into detail. Let me show you a little bit of the run here. And it's literally just, okay, I let it go until Wixwell takes his turn. I do this to get that shield up. And then it's literally just letting it go. Arbais does her extension. And then when she gets back to her turn again, I'll switch her over to the other form. She should be fast enough so that, well, she is definitely fast enough so that she can just switch over here. I'll turn it back on full auto. I know you guys can't really see that because I'm blocking the full auto button, but now it's back on auto. Everybody has their shields. We'll let this go until the Ram form. But if you're looking at champions to swap, let's talk about that in just a moment. But whenever I switch the Ram form, we'll talk about champions that could swap. I do have, like I said, all of that over here in that sheet. So if you want to check that sheet out, it'll have champion replacement ideas, kind of champion roles, kind of what they do, more in depth, more in details there in a way. So check that out. I'll talk about what the champions are bringing, all that kind of stuff. So if you need some more info, go over there, see that. Should help you out. So you can see Arbais dropped her stuff there. That's fine. She's going to go back and forth so much. Getting her tuned to keep her stuff is actually fairly difficult. The most important thing is that she's coming back to make sure everybody else keeps their stuff up as well. So she just did her A2 ability. Perfect. We'll go ahead and once she gets another turn, we'll send her back into that other form. So if she takes her turn today, maybe, we'll switch her back. So she has 2-turn cooldown. So basically we're switching over and she's not really losing much as far as the cooldown on that A2. Maybe we miss a turn or two with it, but we're going to have the Metamorph off cooldown here fairly soon. So 2 million damage there. Very nice. We have 2-turn cooldown. So yeah, she misses like a turn, I guess, but it's not really going to be that bad. She'll be back over there doing the A2 buff extension and everything. Should be okay. But you do want to watch your champions' buffs. If they start to get low, leave Arbais in that first form for a little bit longer. The Ram form comes, hits Lydia, does nothing. We have it set so that, honestly, Arbais in the other form would have been a little bit better. For the Ram form here, he's about to do his AoE hit. Not a huge deal, honestly, but still something that would have been a little bit better in a different order. Which are just some small things you can adjust. So we get a regular fear. Regular fears I don't hit Titus into, because if I hit him into that, he's going to reflect the damage and break the shield. Later on in the fight, you can hit him into that. It's not a huge deal because he has such a huge shield then. You could do that, but at this point, it's not a good idea. We have the True Fear that time. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to actually take advantage of that though. Let's see if Lydia can take another turn here. But Titus going relatively slow. Okay, regular fear. Dang. Okay, so that is an issue. Obviously, sometimes you get lucky and you get the True Fear procs. Boom, 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 and you're good to go. And then sometimes you just miss it and you don't. So look at his shield. If I take this ability and hit him, I'm probably going to drop that shield. Yeah, I just nuked my own shield down. I did 2 million damage, but I just lost a shield set. So my run is basically ruined. And now she decides to do that. Either way, you get the idea there. Hopefully it makes sense. I'll leave this entire run linked at the end of here. All right, so now let's go over here, get flash banged by the big white screen, and talk about which champions could be flexed in and out. Now, Lydia, I had her originally down here in the flexible spot, but she brings block active skills. Titus does as well, technically. She brings block buffs. She brings decreased defense and weaken. She brings increased speed and strengthen. She brings so much to the team. The fear and true fear for the Ram. It's going to be very difficult to swap her out, and I think it becomes more complicated not bringing her than just to bring her in here. Now, for the flexible spots, of course, like I said, Lydia, you could figure it out. You could probably make something to work, but for now, let's not worry about that. The two that's much easier to swap is going to be Androc and Arbais. Honestly, I think Arbais and Androc are the best in slots here, but Androc can more than easily beat Oella. Matter of fact, in this RSL leaderboards, I just saw Buggy post a team not long ago with Oella, Titus, this team right here. So this is literally the champions I'm about to talk about, but this is a huge damage team. Less trials, but still very good team. We have Arbais can be swapped for Krisk, Mikage plus Androc. There's various different combinations you can go with, but I have the reason why these champions are in the team. So when you're looking for things to swap out, try to look for things like this. I have Fighty listed here because Fighty is an interesting champion. Fighty does not bring a buff extension, but what he does bring is the increased resistance, perfect veil for a trial, a cooldown decrease, a decreased speed, and a block buffs. Now, also turn meter fill. So it brings a lot of really interesting stuff that this could be a little bit rough depending on how it works out and things. But with these skills that he brings, you could start getting into switching some different champions out. The cooldown reduction, you could just time this correctly and use it right after your champions use the buff extension, and you should be okay. It'll be a bit more manual stuff, but that's what you could fit into this team and make it actually work for you. Get a few more trials done as well. But essentially, hopefully you guys can understand the idea behind it. We're taking increased accuracy, increased resistance, making the champions much easier to build, protection sets to keep stuff protected, a bunch of buff extenders, and we're good to go. We have some information down here on the masteries. Solidarity specifically is a very important mastery. It's going to be the one that, not that one, it's going to be the one that increases ally resistance by 5 for each buff placed by this champion. So Androc should have that, to be honest. Not really sure why he doesn't have that. He doesn't, to be honest, doesn't really need it. He has his passive, which is already boosting the accuracy, resistance a ton. But it'd be basically an extra 10 or so on each champion. So, an extra potentially 50 on each champion, which is massive. But to be honest, Androc is pretty overkill to begin with his stuff. So not necessarily need it, but Solidarity is good. I don't have it on as many champions as I may need it on. It's more impactful if you don't have Androc. For blessings, you want to have Lydia in Nature's Bounty. You want to have somebody in Cruelty, somebody in Brimstone, and then someone with Intimidating Presence if possible. I have the gear sets all down here listed out. We don't have specific stats or anything, but all the gear sets are listed out. And then Chimera specific stuff, when to swap and everything, and then some pictures of the different Chimera teams. And you know what? I'll leave a picture of this team at the end here as well. This is definitely not the best it can do. Not at all. It can definitely do more. And next week, I will, maybe this week, maybe the week after, I might try to adjust some of these champion builds to push out a few more trials. But let's see if this live or anything goes away. Okay, yeah, it almost messed up my screenshot. But I will go ahead and get a screenshot of this, post it over into here so you know which team you're running. And there we go, guys. That is the Ultra Nightmare Chimera team using Androc plus Arbais that can get you some really good damage, pretty good trials, potentially pick up some mythical materials if you build it out correctly. It's not getting trials like some of these teams are doing, of course, like Nib's team here. Let's see which ones. Actually, kind of difficult to see, but it will do that many or more trials. Obviously, if you're going for specifically mythical materials, which is what you should be doing if you can get good damage plus good trials, it's the best way to go about doing it. But sometimes you just can't do that. You don't have the champions to do so. This team is excellent. It'll pick up all of the personal clash chests each and every week, and help your clan place top 3 in Chimera Clash, picking up some of these chests, which for me never give anything good, but maybe for you, they give you something pretty nice. Either way, guys, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that video. Ended up being a little bit longer than I expected, but hey, hopefully you guys got something from it. So thank you all, and I'll catch you in the next one.